Welcome to this evening's episode of Match Fishing TV. I'm joined in the studio by editor of Match Fishing itself, Tom Scholey.
Hello.
And assistant Matt Godfrey.
Bonjour.
This evening we're going to be looking at the World Champs, the Tames Championship, Matrix Tidal Trent Championship, the Saw Masters Final, a North v South Epic, Iniscara Festival, and the Girka Championship. First of all then, Matt, coming to you, seeing as you've just returned from the World Champs,
Yeah.
what happened out there?
Oh, it was a good one, mate. I only got back at 2 a.m. this morning, actually. But what an
That's
extra...
commitment for you, innit? Straight back into the office.
Well, you had me a nice coffee made and everything, didn't you? Unlike my friend here, you know.
You did wake me up at 2 o'clock though, didn't you?
I did.
I mean, Anita and Jessica were so alarmed.
I had to
when
kick
you
them out
walked
of my bed, didn't I?
in. Yeah, it was terrible.
But what a match it was. It was on Plovdiv rowing course in Bulgaria, which was a 180 metre wide venue, 2.5 kilometres long. But the good thing about it was you probably couldn't have got a fairer venue in terms of the layout of it. Every peg was in a straight line. Every peg was the same depth, and there were very little in the way of gaps or spaces.
If you can make a venue for this sort of thing.
Yeah, that'd be the one. Drennan Team England did fantastically well, really. To get a medal on that venue in them circumstances were great, and they actually came third.
And who was in the team? Who's
Was
in the lineup?
Alan Scofforn, Will Raisin, Des Ship, Callum Dix, Will Raisin, and Steve Hemingway.
And what
Sean
were you,
Ashby.
Sean Ashby.
and what were you doing out there?
I was a bit of a helper, to be honest. A little bit of a skivvy. But no, there were 4 of us went out as like sort of men on the bank. Myself, James Dent, Lee Kerry and Cameron Hughes. But it was good because we got to see the match unfold. We got there on the Thursday. And it was one of the England boys' worst practice sessions. And they were all a little bit uneasy after it. They caught sort of between 1 kilo and 4 kilos. And we obviously didn't go to the meeting or anything that night. But... the following day, they tweaked the tactics and tried to catch fish a little bit later in the session.
Yeah.
And they did exactly that. They started the day by not feeding quite as aggressive, upped it and upped it and upped it as the day went on, and caught really well late. So Friday night, before the World Championships, there were a great buzz between all the lads. They felt like they'd worked something out, got the all-important feeding right.
Yeah. And the plan really come together.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of waggler fishing, all waggler and slider fishing, which was great to see, you know, from my point of view. A youngster out there learning. I get to watch Alan Scofforn, Will Raisin and all the rest of my angling heroes fish a method we don't really use much in the UK in a World Championship.
Yeah. And England's come away with the bronze.
They come away with a bronze medal, yeah. Second place was Czechoslovakia, or Czech Republic even, as you've got to call them now. And first place was Hungary, who blitzed it. They scored 12 points on the first day.
What was that down to? How come they excelled?
The only thing they did different to the other teams is picked up a whip halfway through the match. Yeah, there were a bit of a lull in action. You seem to see a few fish caught early. And then later on in the session, there was a bit of a lull, sort of mid-match. And if you look at the fish count, we'll show you some of the sheets on the screen now, you can actually see the Hungarian fish count is a lot higher than any other team on there. And that's because they picked this little whip up, 2 metre whip halfway through the match, flicked it down the edge and caught some little sunperch. And in some sections, it might have only been 300 or 400 grams or 500 or 600 grams, but
was enough.
Made a big difference, yeah. But there were a bit of, not controversy, but a bit of unluckiness to some of our anglers. On the first day, Alan Scofforn up to carp that had made a big difference, and it tangled with a bloke next to him, so that didn't count.
Sure.
Probably cost him, he did end up coming 10th in his section, probably cost him coming 4th. And yesterday, Will Raisin went into day 2 of the World Championship with a section win under his belt, so he's in contention.
Chance to come out on top.
Exactly.
Individually.
Good chance, great best possible position to win the World Championship on a venue that really suited him. You know what Will's like at that sort of fishing. Aggressive waggler fishing, firing baiting, brilliant. And after 2 hours, I had him down for winning the section. Well in the lead, he caught some decent carp early on, but he had a 2 kilo fish, a fish probably nearly £5, that he'd hooked and got tangled with the Frenchman next to him, and he landed it. So he's hooked the fish, got it out, landed it, but he can't put it in his keep net because international rules say them fish, if they cross with the next angler, if they cross with the next angler's line, they're disqualified. So he's put the fish back, and he's ended up coming 3rd in his section, missing out by just 600-700 grams. So that fish would have won him the section and won him the World Championship.
First of all, can you imagine returning a fish like that and not putting it in your keep net.
Oh.
You know, such a prestigious event like that, at a time like that when all eyes are on you, and then at the end for it to end up costing him is a real shame, because I've heard nothing but good reports about Will's ability is second to none.
Unbelievable, that kind of fishing, isn't it?
Did you see that video I put up of him scooping the carp? Oh, unbelievable. I was stood watching him with Lee Carrer, and you could see his slider come up, and his fish is obviously 4 feet under the water, and all of a sudden he's sort of had this sort of movement, and there's this carp and he's landing down. I was just like, what just happened there? Incredible.
I've seen him do that. It's an unbelievable skill. But whenever I try and do it, I knock him off. Not about you.
Yeah, I'm saying.
Plenty of practice.
Yeah, but on the individual front, it's worth mentioning these people, you know.
Well, they were there, weren't they?
I'm going to go for it. Jernej Ambrozic won the World Champs. He had a perfect 2-point score. He was the only competitor to win his section both days. He's a Slovenian. I've actually met him a few times. Really nice kid. He was over the moon to win, as you can see from the pictures of him. Joseph Konopasik was second. He had 3 points. And Ratislav Duda was third on 3 points also, but with less weight. So well done to those three anglers.
Fantastic.
So dominated by the Eastern Europeans on the individual stakes at least.
Yeah, top performer from England was Will Raisin. He had 4 points, and he ended up, I think he was 5th.
But obviously that one fish costing individual glory. Such a shame. But no other home nations present.
No, that was really disappointing to see. But speaking to Arla, it took them 2.5 days to drive there. 1,980 miles, something like that. It was a ridiculous drive.
Yeah.
And obviously to go there, it costs a lot of money. Speaking to like Team Wales, they haven't quite got the funding, and it were a shame not to see Scotland and Ireland there as well. Yeah. Really disappointing. So if anyone's on the lookout to sponsor some teams, a bit of money their way or some strong support would be.
Wales are reigning European champions, aren't they? So, you know, have a chance they could have come back with a medal as well.
Of course they could.
Well, maybe Bagging Bros could dig deep, no?
We're thinking about it, weren't we, mate?
We'll have a little
I'll tell you what, we'll get some peanuts for them, won't we? How's that?
I'll tie him a rig.
Bag of KPs off your pot. Right, so that pretty much sums up the World Champs then, Matt, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so then, Tom, to you on the Girka Championship.
Yeah, this was actually won by a teammate of mine.
What is this all about?
Well, he's very good, to be fair to him. Uncle Rob Perkins, won the Girka Champs upon a time with £28 a dace.
Good old Rob.
Which was 90-odd fish on the Waggler. Second was Jeff Herbert, he had £24. And third was Steve Hoggins, who had £19.14. Again, they were dace weights. The nice thing about the Tyne is it's not overly pressured like a lot of rivers. They have maybe 4 or 5 matches a year on it, and they're all, for that reason, fairly big matches.
Yeah.
The Girka's always a very popular one.
How many were there yesterday, do you know?
I'm not 100% sure, no, but it would have been a good turnout. It always is on the time. But I'll tell you, the thing that sort of struck me talking to Rob after, he's won the match, but he's had a little bit of, shall we call it, bad luck, bless him. He was sat on rocks in the water, and he says he were catching away, and he's felt something slip, and he says what he thinks has happened is one of these rocks has just moved out the way of the boxer's leg, and all of a sudden all the weight of the box is on one extension leg, and he says he don't think he tightened the screw up properly with it on, and he says he's never had it happen before, it'll never happen again, but he said he fell in slow motion. He said he felt himself going backwards. He says, but he didn't know what to do. He can't obviously stand up because that makes the situation worse. Yeah. He says, so he's fell in off his box, and he's hurt his hand as it happened. He's only bruised it, but he's hurt his hand and got in. Still managed to win the match, bless him. So
good old Rob.
He's in a really rich vein of form at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, won the Division 1 National, and he's won this.
He catches a lot of fish, Rob, doesn't he? On a lot of different venues. And to me, he's always struck me as one who likes to do his own thing.
Yes.
Was that the case for this match?
Absolutely, very individual angler. And a great influence to me as an angler, and also a lot of the young lads in our team, because, you know, these more traditional methods, wag and mag and all that, is so good, and he's so happy to teach other people. A real ambassador for the sport. Yeah.
Oh, well done, Rob, and everyone else involved. That was nice to hear of some stuff going on the Tyne there. Like you say, not something that gets an awful lot of exposure, having so few matches. So, on to the Tidal Trent Festival then.
I'm a bit disappointed. I missed this one, you know, to be honest.
What were you doing?
I had to nip over there for that little knock-up, didn't I?
The little England knock-up?
Yeah. But it looks a great event, run by Alan Henry on the Tidal River Trent, sponsored by Matrix as well, which were nice to see. 3-day event. Guess who won it?
Go on.
Match organiser Alan Henry.
No.
How good's that?
Awesome. He deserves that.
He does. He had the perfect 3-point score. He won his section all 3 days, and I think he won the match the last 2 days as well.
That takes some doing.
Oh, certainly does. And a lot of people have Alan down for a feeder angler. It's always an ongoing joke, innit? When he gets up to get his money, they're like, oh, feeder. But he actually caught some fish on a float this time as well. And I was lucky enough to get out on a feature with Alan a couple of months ago, around the time of the Division 1 National. And a lot of people fish this feeder and only catch big fish on it, but he's got this knack of catching the littler fish, the roach and dace, that give you these little bites. And you know, when you're reeling in, you have a bus magger.
Yeah.
I had it a lot this year on there. It can be really frustrating. You can get a bite every chuck and catch nothing. But he's got some tweaks that he does with his rig and his hook length, and when he strikes, he uses braid, which is different to everyone else. So he's got his own unique way of fishing a feeder to catch these smaller fish, roach and dace, and they've played a massive part in...
And are you going to keep all these secrets to yourself, or are you going to reveal them somewhere?
Well, I might just keep this feature for another year or two. No, we've got the feature and it'll be going into a future edition of Match
November
Fishing.
issue it's in, actually.
Is it going in the
It's
November
in the November
one?
issue out the last week in October. It's
Brilliant, so it's one to check out. We've got this knack, haven't we? We do a feature with someone and then they end up going and winning something, don't they?
I know, definitely.
We have to do more on ourselves,
I'm
didn't
thinking
we?
that, yeah.
But second place went to no stranger doing well on the River Trent, Alistair Oglaville. He had 4 points, 2 wins and a second. And third place went to Tony Bunting, who also had 4 points, but a lower weight than Alistair. So well done to those 3 anglers.
Yeah, and there's plenty of roach present with there, roach and dace.
Yeah, it was one thing that were obvious, looking at the catch shots. You normally see some big barbel playing a part, big bream weights, but they want much of that this year. A lot of roach and dace and busy fishing.
But a few odd big uns showed today.
An odd bream, we
Yeah,
call it.
Yeah. That's unusual there, isn't it? Like you say,
Yeah.
the barbel do normally show and really mix things up there.
I think a lot of it's dependent on the tide, and talking to a couple of the people who fished, it was chosen to be on favourable tides for the small fish as well.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
Well, that's pretty much it for part 1. Join us in a moment for part 2. Welcome back. So then, chaps, let's dive straight in to the one they're all talking about. Forget the world champs. North v South fish off.
oh yeah, this was some match. This
The
was.
big battle.
It was brilliant. The thing I love about this match, I fished it for the first time last year. There's just so much banter going on all the time on Facebook about it, and on social media. It's great, a great match.
So let's just clarify the format for anyone not familiar.
Basically, it's two teams, 100 aside. Basically, it is. It's held at Tunnel Barn Farm. So basically, you've got 100 Northerners and 100 Southerners, and it's pegged Northerner, Southerner, Northerner, Southerner all the way around. So
Where's the line of divide on the map?
well, this is the object of some controversy. Technically, it's Birmingham, apparently, but I said that's totally wrong because every north-south thing I've ever heard is Watford Gap's the line. You know, that's
Yeah.
why they say the north-south barrier is, don't they?
Yeah.
But apparently for this, it's Birmingham. And so I argue that I fish for the north because my mum lives in Sheffield and I'm from there. So there's loads of this sort of controversy.
And you've got a slight northern twang.
Oh, you'd say so, wouldn't you?
Oh,
So, this took place at Tunnel Barn Farm. I'm just going to say, first of all, get this straight out there in the open. The North absolutely smashed it yet again.
Again?
You know, made them southern shandy drinking pansies. Yeah, looked like they were going backwards. But anyway.
Have they
I can't
ever
help
won?
but feel this is somewhat unfair with two northerners sat there.
Have Southerners
We should
ever
have maybe
won?
got a guest in for part 2.
They've never won
No,
one.
never won one.
It's not surprising, really, is it?
No.
I mean, I think you two should probably watch your backs pretty closely the next few days at least. Spouting off like this.
Definitely. No, there's been some great banter on Facebook. It's been brilliant, really. But the match was actually won by Adam Rumble, who was a fantastic up-and-coming angler from Wolverhampton. And he was fishing for the north, I believe. He had £153 off extension peg 22. Caught a lot of fish shallow. Second, a Maven Medland teammate of Adam's, actually, Bradley Parks. He had £130 off high pull. So he did really well. But the main object of the exercise is to raise money for charity.
Yeah.
And a lot was raised, and a lot of that money is used to actually fund the England disabled team when they go on the World Champs. Brilliant. So it's a really good cause and a brilliant match.
Yeah, it does seem to create a big stir, doesn't it? You know, everyone, the North v South thing, and it clashes at the end, and then...
Oh, definitely. So much banter. It's funny. Like,
Good match.
Even down to who fishes for what team, you know, it's good. It's
good. Fighting for pride.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, great event there. So the Eastern Region Shield.
Another good match. This time heading east onto the middle level drain. There were 11 teams of 6 in this event, and it's an interesting venue because there were talks this place were going to be used for the for the Ladies World Championship next year, and I'm not sure what's going ahead with it, but it's a good example of sort of the potential it's got. A big match, 11 teams of 6, like I said, and Andy Spencer won the match. He caught 2 tension, 2 bream to win with 8 kilo 300. But the team front on this was a proper good hiding by the local lads. Census Mark 1, they took 3 of the top 5 individual places, and they won all 3 team positions, first, second and third, because the local bunch of lads, they've got quite a big team.
Just a little bit in touch with it.
Yeah, they fished
dominant, to be the word.
Yeah, all the time. And first, second and third in the team front were all taken by Census Mark 1 teams. So good match and well done
what's
to
the
them
likelihood
boys.
in the future of it being used for that event, you know, after this? And
I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at that weight, 8 kilo 300. It's not a massive weight, but I haven't seen any pictures or got any information for the backup. So for all we know, there could have been a lot of 3 and 4 kilos of small fish. And I know I've done a couple of features on that place, and the access is pretty good. It's quite straight and even. The banks aren't too bad, and it'd be nice to see it sort of considered and go ahead. Because
for big events, for people, anyone not familiar, it just isn't that easy, is it?
No.
You've been involved a lot in it, particularly you, Matt, you know, with the England side of things as well, but access, you know, it being, the depth being even, like you were saying about Plovdiv as well, it's such a good venue for it. Yeah. It's difficult to get everything in line. It's not just about the fishing, is it?
No.
You know, it's about every other aspect as well.
Even as much as like the infrastructure surrounding it, which is why on Pier Point was so good, because Nottingham's close by, loads of places for teams to stay, and loads of places for them to eat and things like that. That obviously plays a big part as well.
Because there's loads of good places to fish.
Yeah.
It's just the other factors they sometimes fall short on, don't they? Which is a shame.
I think the last place was Thurston, wasn't it, that we hosted a
ladies one.
Yeah.
That was some time back.
6 years ago, probably.
More than that. Sandra won, didn't she?
Yeah. Right then. Well, that's that one wrapped up. Let's move swiftly on. So the Iniscara Festival, the Granville Cup.
Yes. Funnily enough, this was actually a bit of a practice for some of our international lads as well. The England under-23s travelled over there to practice for next year's World Championship, which is actually at Iniscara. But it was won by a lad who's been absolutely on fire these last few months, and that's Alex Clements. He had a total weight, it was done on cumulative weight this festival, a total weight of 59 kilos, 240 grams over 3 days, which is a massive weight, isn't it?
Ridiculous, brilliant.
A fish on a natural venue, especially when you consider it's not really bream either. It's a lot of roach, a lot of hybrids, a lot of skimmers. And Alex's best day was actually a catch of 29 kilos, 460, which is around about 63, 64 pound. And that was roach and hybrids on a 5 metre whip. I mean,
what an amazing day's fishing.
That's proper sport.
And not just about the fishing, the surroundings as well.
Oh, it's gorgeous. I mean, we'll put some pictures on screen now of this, and it's just a fantastic place. Absolutely awesome. In second place was Trevor Platt. He was just behind Alex, actually. It was quite a close battle. He had 58 kilos, 380. And in third place was Gist with 52, 900.
I mean, you got the difficult bit.
Yeah, I got the name. I struggled on the number. So, yeah, great festival by the sound of it.
Yeah, it looks a good one. And what about for next year? How's it looking?
Well, I think it's at a similar time of year. So, you know, this was one of the reasons that Mark and the England setup funded the team to go over and have a little practice, because it should obviously, hopefully, stand them in good stead.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it sounds like it's set to be a promising promising thing.
Yeah, good stuff. The Tames Championship then, Matt.
Tames Championship.
Not the Thames,
The
Tames.
Tames Championship. That's good because isn't it from the town of Tame?
It's correct pronunciation.
The Tames Championship. Well, it's an event, quite a prestigious event. I know, especially in the south, a lot of people pride themselves in the team doing well, individually doing well. I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, I won the Thames Champs," or "Our team won the Thames Champs," or "did well," and remember that. So it's quite a prestigious match, this, and this year we're no different. There were 22 teams of 6 in it, and it was ran from Lechlade through to Rushley, which is all on the upper stretches of the river. I saw some pictures on Facebook. It looks really nice. All the Thames does, doesn't it? We've talked about it a lot this year. And on the individual front, Ed Warren took victory. He had £26.14 from Peg 59, and he caught 7 chub on Polfish, Worm and Caster. Wins a lot of matches, Ed Warren.
Nice day out.
Yeah, good performance that.
Decent area there, or?
I ain't got a clue. Apparently so. Apparently it's a good area. But obviously a massive match, and he's done really well to do well from there.
It's a great one to
Well
on the
done,
CV, isn't it?
Definitely. I noticed on his Facebook he said there's some brilliant names on that trophy, like Wayne Swinscoe and other people. So he were really proud for doing it, and he should be.
Yeah, he deserved that.
Definitely.
Well
He
done.
catches a lot of fish, does Ed? Fishing really positive in big matches like that. I know he's caught an odd barbel at Evesham before, won the match by being really aggressive and positive and fishing worms and casters and big baits for big fish. So
Well, obviously he's just had the Drennan Knockout Cup, hasn't he, at Western, and then not quite gone to plan for him, has it? And then he's come back with this, but he's been doing a lot on natural venues
Yeah.
this year, Ed, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's his focus.
Yeah.
certainly. Second place was Paul Passmore from Deviser's Match Group. He had £21. He caught everything on a 3-metre whip, so a totally different day to Ed Warren.
Yeah.
A little bit less weight, but a brilliant day's fishing. £21, a small river fish on a 3-metre whip. Awesome performance. Third place went to Mick Denton.
That's a lot of fish on a whip.
It is, a lot of fish.
I know Paul Glenfield obviously runs a lot of the matches on the Thames. He actually rates Paul Passmore as being the best Thames angler there is.
Does he?
Yeah, he always says Passy, as he calls him.
Yeah. Didn't he win the festival a couple of years ago?
He's won it a few times, I think. Yeah. He's awesome.
You want to avoid him if you're on there.
Oh yeah, that's what Glenn's always saying.
But third place was Mick Denton from Drennan Oxford Yellow. He had £18, 14 ounce, and he caught 3 big chub, again on polefished worm and caster. But what a lot of people go on this match for is the team result. And it was dominated by Drennan Oxford teams by the looks of things. Oxford Yellow won with 117 points from a possible 132,
That's
which
a good
is a right
performance.
brilliant performance. Second place, Drennan Oxford Blue with 94 points, and third place, Team Garbellino with 89 points.
Local knowledge once again shining through.
Certainly was.
absolutely.
The winning team for Oxford Yellow was Tom Hobbs, Steve Harwood, Mick Denton, Steve Townsend, Paul Glenfield and Tony Hobbs.
Great lineup. Sounded like a really good match. Like you say, we've covered a bit on the Thames this year, haven't we?
Yeah.
And it's been a superb
Some
venue.
great weights, haven't
Yeah.
there? I mean, what a good year for river fishing this has been, though. You know, awesome.
Top stuff.
Right then, chaps, on to our last story of the evening, the Censor's Saw Masters.
Yes, it's another river one to end on, actually. And this was won by the self-professed international superstar that was, or is, Darren Bickerton. He had £16.15. He caught 3 bream, up to £4, and £4 or £5 a smaller fish. He actually do the end peg 84.
N-Peg, Darren Bickerton.
Not like him, is it? To be
No,
fair?
no.
But to be fair, it's like I said to you last night, it's to be expected that Darren was on the MPEG because his teammates, Cameron and Sean, were both
That's true.
in Bulgaria.
And I
so
suppose being on the end, there's plenty of room behind him to get the crowds in, isn't there?
that's exactly what, you know, that's
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah,
what...
the media team's got to shuffle in, haven't they,
Of course
behind
they have,
them?
yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, probably arranged for him, wasn't it?
But yeah, a great performance from what's got to be one of the most consistent anglers on natural venues,
Definitely.
you know.
Did he pay you to say that?
No, to be fair, he didn't.
Give it him free, did you?
I did.
Good.
But he has done a good deed, so it's probably karma. They were
Yeah.
telling me, a lot of people know Monty, who weighs in the matches at Evesham. He sold him his car for £300. And they had a backward bartering, apparently. But Darren was trying to give it him for less, and Monty wanted to pay more. That's how it worked, apparently. But the funny thing was, Jay, who also does the weighing at Evesham, drove Monty up to get the car, and Monty had to end up towing Jay back because his van broke down outside the garage. So I thought that was a great story. So that's probably why. Good karma, isn't it? But Jay Scrivener, a teammate of mine, was second. He had £10.10 of perch from peg 46. Starlet's Matt Parkin was third with £9.11 of perch and roach. So another great match on the saw.
Good fishing.
Yeah. Really good. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this evening's episode. If you've got anything else you want to let us know, contact us at matchfishingtv@dhpub.co.uk. For now, it's over and out from us. We'll see you next week.